So again, now Bernie is not above criticism. He's got, he's got flaws. Great men have great flaws. Same thing with Tulsi. She's not above criticism. Nobody's above criticism. But right now, I'm going to say the ticket that's the best to beat Trump and to make a big difference once they get there would be Tulsi and Bernie.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think that I feel like any other combination is actually a guaranteed loss. There's this idea floated around that Elizabeth Warren has a good chance to beat Trump. I just don't believe that.
You know what? I'm not. As far as Elizabeth Warren, she has a lot of work to do. Put it that way, to overcome how she let Trump bait her into that. Into taking that time. I mean, that she's already apologized for it. That was just that I guess maybe she saw, because Barack Obama finally, after years of Trump hounding him, released his long-form birth certificate. It didn't really make a difference. They just moved on to something. I want to see his college record. So you would think she would learn from that didn't really, that was all show. They didn't really care. And so that's, I don't know. I don't know if she overcomes that. Plus, she's like the third or fourth choice of progressives, because when time came to stand up for Bernie, she didn't. Tulsi did.
Yeah. And that's like I said, that was a defining moment for everybody, because for example, Nina Turner, who we all love, but people forget Nina, before that moment where she joined Bernie, would have been considered an establishment candidate. And she is very aware of that. Tulsi, obviously, same thing. And they all kind of reach this climax where it's like, okay, here's where the rubber meets the road. Which side are you going to pick? And I think that just has never really sat well with progressives. I think some people are a little bit more forgiving than others, but I know the hardcore progressives have never forgiven Elizabeth Warren for that. I know a lot of people of color have never forgiven her for basically trying to co-opt the marginalized experience as a Native American when she's never really dealt with that, just for some political points. And it's basically helped further her career to get her to where she's at. She's directly benefited from that. Now, I do have one question about Elizabeth Warren. For the progressives, what would you say to progressives who like her, despite the fact, and are trying to make Bernie comparisons, despite the fact that she still takes corporate money, she still takes AIPAC money, and she still does cater to AIPAC and those types of special interests? You're
referring to Elizabeth Warren?
Elizabeth Warren, yes.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a lot of, that's why she's the third or fourth choice of progressives, right? So she does some great work, and she highlights a lot of things. The Consumer Protection Bureau, is that what it's called? Anyway, yeah, that was her. She championed that. And again, she's a mixed bag, right? And I think there's stronger progressives out there, but I think she's an ally, definitely. And I think that she could probably be moved on things, right? I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but she's not my first choice. I mean, I would be way happier with her than Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees with that, because she's a lot more malleable. Hillary Clinton, when confronted with the idea of ending fracking, she looked at them like they were idiots. Like, no, I would never do that. Yeah. And Elizabeth Warren literally leans with the popular opinion. And she was probably convinced at some point that Hillary was the popular opinion, because they deceived themselves into believing that.
The thing about Elizabeth Warren that really sticks out to me like a sore thumb, and the thing that I brought up in my critique of her, is that people love to, show videos of her wagging her finger and really giving it a talking down to as a bank CEO for criminality, right? Like what Wells Fargo did. But what I point out when everyone is getting their jollies, I mean, it is fun to watch her do that. I get a vicarious thrill to watch her chew out these bank CEOs, and she knows that too. So that's why she does it. What she doesn't do is then recommend they get prosecuted. And that's what I think really reveals her to. I get the sneaky feeling that half the reason she's doing that is to grandstand, because if she really meant the words she was saying, she would want those people prosecuted.
Yeah, no, that's literally my main complaint about Warren is like, okay, I'm glad you can wag your finger and you can point at the obvious, but for a long time, there was legitimately no hope of taking these people down. So she could do that out in the public eye, say, look at what I did, but never have to hold anybody accountable. But I feel like we've transitioned now. We want to see people being held accountable, because we all don't like banks. We know what your power is as a senator or as a legislator. And if you're not going to use your voice to bring about some palatable, palpable, substantial change, then all the finger wagging doesn't really mean anything. Thanks for watching that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. You can donate to our Patreon and keep helping the network grow by clicking on the link in the description below. And also make sure you join us at JustNForm.com. And finally, make sure you subscribe to us on Roku and be part of the very first independent news network on Roku TV. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.